On this episode of Mad Ginger Customs, we get our hands on the 2024 improved Simder SD4050PRO. This unit isn't available yet. You can get it on pre-order, but we got one first to give you guys the inside scoop. Let's go! Oh, welcome back to Mad Ginger Customs. So today, it is chilly in here, look at this. Today, we finally got our improved SD4050PRO. If you guys have not seen this thing in action, there are several videos of this unit being used in its past configuration. This is the improved 2024 version. This has a lot of upgrades. What Simder did was, Simder took all the suggestions they had from YouTubers or from end users and guys that says, hey, I wish it did this, I wish it did that. And Simder said, you got it, right? So we're going to go through basic, we're going to try to rip through this thing quick because this thing does a lot of things, right? I'm just going to give you a brief taste of a little bit of here and there, and we're going to talk it through, and I'm going to show you all the improvements, right? So right off the rip, Simder redesigned the entire display. The entire display is now way more functional and easier to use. I'm going to turn this thing on. We're going to get fans, obviously. They added dual fans in the back to keep this thing nice and cool. So you're going to see this thing boot up, right? I'm going to get you guys off the stand and we're going to look at it real quick. The original 4050 had a functional display. You could use it. It was easy. But this thing is much more user-friendly, right? And honestly, it's a nicer looking display too. So you can roll through. That's another upgrade. We're going to talk about that. This thing does all sorts of MIG configurations. CO2, argon, mixed gases, pulse MIG. Pulse MIG, you guys say? Yeah, this thing pulse MIGs too. Goes through. It's got another. That's another upgrade. High frequency start TIG welder, right? Does plasma. This thing will cut 3/4 inch max steel. It'll clean cut 1/2 inch, no problem. It'll do flux, it'll do arc welding, and back around she goes. So basically all you need to do is kind of go around the roundy wheel, and then you're going to hit your options button. So another thing they included in this, you get a foot pedal option. It does 2T, 4T, it has memory settings, that's another upgrade they did, and you can choose to say, I don't want to use the pedal, I want to use the pedal, and back you go, right? You go to plasma, it tells you amperage, it tells you your purge time, 2T, 4T. You can also set a memory setting for that, right? This thing is pretty versatile. Stick gives your amps, let's see here, mixed gas MIG, right? It's going to give you your wire speed, your voltage, 2T, 4T, all that stuff. You can choose your wire size, and you can memory set it. Pulse MIG, gonna give you parameter options, 2T, 4T. It's gonna give you speed, voltage, and it's gonna give you your ramp up, ramp down, right? Anyway, it's impressive, guys. Honestly, it does a lot of things. So we're gonna get into it with what comes in the box, right? Now, this is the pedal that Simder has, right? We're going to show you this pedal because it has an adjustment on it, right? So, we're going to put this aside for now. Let me turn this thing off. We can talk it through. So, walking around this thing, right? Nice package. It's got corner guards all the way around. Here's your MIG compartment. Right, and I gotta get it on the table all the way. Right, pretty standard. Click her back down. I kind of briefly assembled it. So let's talk about what the back of this thing looks like, right? On-off switch, 2 fans. Keeps her cool. You got a MIG hookup. You're gonna have to get the regulator of your flavor. And then it has another input here. Now, dependent upon what you're doing, you can have it set up like I have it set up to plasma cut, right? Comes with the regulator, you get a little piece of hose, you can feed it in there. And I put a quick connect here, so I just pop her on, throw it into plasma mode, and that's another upgrade we're going to talk about. If you want to switch to TIG, you just pop this thing off, get your regulator from your bottle, and you're going to put the hose on here. Now, if you were going to set this thing up for like full-time use, you don't want to mess with it, you would tee this off and just put a little shut-off valve. And that way you could just choose that or choose your bottle. No big deal, right? It gave you the opportunity now for upgrades to pulse weld aluminum with a spool gun, right? If any of you have run a spool gun, I think you would agree that the pulse option is a great addition, and it really helps out a lot of people. It also has high frequency TIG start, so it's no longer a lift start unit. This has a high frequency start TIG, and it does come with all the TIG components in here, with the exception of consumables. So that's a nice addition. It also is a plasma cutter, but now what they did was they upgraded the machine, and now it's a pilot arc plasma cutter, also in the box, right? And then, as you've seen, the LCD screen, right? So much, much easier to use, kind of much easier to understand, and we'll go through a little bit of that here and there. So let's get right into it and see, what does this thing come with? Obviously, you guys saw the regulator, great. Comes with a ground clamp. Everything comes with a ground clamp. Look at this. You asked Dave, what is that? This is a graphite liner for your MIG. So you can run aluminum right through the MIG if you want to without having a spool gun. We're going to get into the spool gun in a bit. We got a stinger for arc welding. I know you guys are like, yeah, Dave, that's pretty standard. I get it. They're going to give you the hose you need for your regulator. So you grab your whatever flavor regulator you like. Some guys like the dual 2-gauge. Some guys like the floaty bulb. I get that. Then they give you the hose, right? So the hose would be hooked up in the back. You already saw a piece of it used for the plasma cutter end of things. This is what you're going to use if you're going to use the TIG option, or you can use your own hose. You don't have to use this one. The things that are important here, this is an entire TIG torch package, right? Nice shape to it. Does have a button. So if you're like, I'm not using the pedal, I don't like the pedal, or you're doing remote work, this thing's ready to rip. It comes with collets, it comes with end caps, and it comes with ceramic cups. So all you need is whatever flavor tungsten you use. Guys, we have done videos on what tungsten does what, and it's what's best depending upon your skill level and what you're welding. We're not going to get into that in this video. Get yourself some tungsten. Honestly, just get some blue lanthanated tungsten. You can do almost everything with that. FPT-40 pilot arc plasma cutter gun, right? Nice. We also have 220 volt to 110 adapter, a little slag brush, and then you have your the 15 KD MIG gun, and this is the the international connector. So any of the international style torches or guns will work with this. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through this thing real quick. We're going to use it real quick, and I'm going to show you a bunch of processes on it, and we'll come to some conclusions together. And at the end of this, I'm going to show you guys how to get a massive discount on this thing. Let's go. All right, guys, here she is all set up to run. So there's a couple different MIG modes, a lot of different MIG modes, right? First and foremost, you can run a 1-pound spool. You just take off the adapter, run a 1-pound spool. Try to set your tension remotely close to correct. There's a lot of videos on that. We're not going to show you that. And then you just basically close it back up, store that in there. A couple different things, right? You got a couple different you got a couple different MIG modes here, right? So you got MIG, mixed gas, which that's what we're using. That's 75-25. But there's a couple different options here, right? So you can set up, you can be on pulse MIG. Then there's 100% argon. And then there's CO2 100%. And then separate. Okay, I want to explain to you guys what separate is, right? There's separate. Separate is every single parameter on here is individually adjustable, right? This unit has synergic help, right? So you go back, when you go to mixed gas, right? When you're on mixed gas, you're gonna tell it what size wire you have. You're gonna tell it you're on 2T, that means when you pull the trigger and hold it, it's gonna run. If you set it on 4T, you pull it once, it just runs and runs and runs until you pull it again. It's got purge, you can set it on memory, depending upon, you know, which memory setting you want it to be. You can go plus or minus 5 volts, right? So what you're doing is you're adjusting your wire speed. And as you adjust your wire speed, your voltage is also going to increase. So knowing it's 030, right, you turn it up, turn it up, turn it up, it's going to increase your voltage. And then if you're like, then you fine tune from there, right? So what you're going to do is you're going to find the speed you like, and then you're going to play with the heat a little bit. And you can go, you know, a little fatter puddle, a little thinner puddle. All right, here we go. Simder improved SD4050PRO. Well, man, can't be mad at that. That is a solid weld. Nice, beautiful, perfect. Okay, awesome. Let's flip it around and try something else. All right, generally, when you're gonna run on pulse, this thing's gonna want 35 wire or 40 wire. I only have 30 in it. But we're going to try it anyway, and I bet it's going to be awesome. Wow, that's what I'm talking about. All right, guys, next on the agenda, let's cut some stuff, right? Now, with this unit, you can still leave your MIG hooked up, right? You don't have to change any of that. The only thing that you're going to change is you're going to take your ground clamp and you're going to move it from here to here for plasma. You're going to hook up your gas feed from your torch. You're going to hook up, this is your switch, and then you got to hook up this one screw tab here, and that's going to be your pilot arc, right? So here's your plasma screen. Basically, I just set it up, it's on 50. This is just how it came out of the box. 2T, 5-second purge. Kind of tells you the whole situation, and you can set it as a memory. So this thing's ready to rip. Now, being that this is the improved model, this is not lift start. When you hit this thing, this is what you get. This is a pilot start unit. And you can drag it. See? It's got basically the drag tip on it. That is a big improvement. Pilot arc is better all around for cutting things. We're going to set you back up on the stand. The thing I just MIG'd together, let's just cut it apart. Why not? And then we're going to try to cut some 1/2 inch. Whoa. Cool. See how she does. That literally cut through that like nothing. And there's hardly any slag. Look at this. Don't burn my hands. Look how nice that is. I mean, short of my, you know, my jankety hands. Let's go to the big boy. We are done screwing around. We got 1/2 inch angle. This is honestly going to be brutal for something like this. Let's see how she does. I got about 60 pounds of air going to it. And she's all the way up. Let's see how she does. We're just gonna cut a little chunk off of here because this is the one I use for all my tests. Fire and all. Let's see how that did. Let's knock some slag off this thing. Wow, wow, check this out. Guys, you gotta look at that. I mean, you know, I'm a little kind of rickety because I got bad hands, but look at how smooth that thing cut. Obviously, I was going a little slow, so it kind of melted back together with the slag, but once you knock it off, that is impressive. This is 1/2 inch thick. This thing clean cuts 1/2 inch like it's nothing. That is crazy. So you got a unit that'll cut 1/2 inch. We'll just throw this under there. Let's move on to something else. All right, so we are set up for arc welding. Boys, I do not do any stick at all, right? This is like 6013 farm rod. Tiny little nothing, right? Not ideal for doing what we're doing, but you know, if we can just make it happen, we're gonna make it happen. All right, here we go. Let's try to burn a little bit of this rod in here. I am not an arc welder by any means. MIG and TIG is my jam. So let's see how we do. That is absolutely acceptable considering my skill level arc welding. Let's look at this together. We could chip that off. All right, guys, currently we are set up to TIG weld, okay? So I switched to my argon bottle. We had to remove the fitting from the plasma cutter because we're gonna feed gas there. And I have the pedal set up. The pedal has variable control knob on the front, but you can set it up, you know, through the control. You can turn the pedal on and off, so we'll turn it back on. And this stuff is scrap, but let's see how we can do with it. And this is going to be our first pass. This is only set to like 94 amps, so I'm turning the pedal on. You can run it without the pedal. This torch is very comfortable. It has like a bump in it, but you can hold it. I hold it kind of like a pencil. A lot of guys I know do this. It does have the integrated button, so if you do not want to use the pedal, you don't have the pedal, you just hit the button and it's a high frequency start. This thing starts very nice. Let's go. Oh yeah. Wow. All right. Now I know the GoPro does not zoom in well, but that is an actually really nice bead. This thing drops an amazing bead. Initiates arc immediately, no delay, nice, good pedal control. What more could you ask for a TIG? So you can use it with the pedal, without the pedal. I've done like roll cage work where I'm like, I can't use the pedal in here. or you lean on it with your elbow, but sometimes you got to use the button. And I grew up on the button. You're going to adjust by speed, right? So if you don't have amp control, you're going to have to adjust by moving your speed back and forth. So anyway, what do we got left? Aluminum spool gun. Let's do that. We hooked up the spool gun. You got to pay attention to setup. It does have a spool gun specific hole. You got to remove your MIG, right? And then up in here, let me see if I can get you guys in there. There's a switch right here. And you got to put that switch in spool gun mode from your MIG. So you got to remember to go back and forth with it. So let's try to blast a pass. I just got some, you know, nonsense I can kind of put together. And we'll see if we can get her to run. Alright guys, so that's the new and improved Simder SD4050PRO. I like the improvements they've made. The display, much easier to use. You rotate through. I mean, if you like technology, it's actually a really nice looking display. I love the fact that they gave you a pilot arc plasma cutter. Super nice. I also love the fact they give you a foot pedal control for the TIG. But I mean, this thing does, look at how many, I mean, there's just accoutrements everywhere, right? It slices, it dices, it juliennes fries, it does MIG, it does TIG, it does stick, it does pulse. It is a plasma cutter. If you are a garage builder, I don't know what else you would need. This thing is pretty much like a Swiss Army knife. You're going to need regulators if you buy bottles, right? So you're going to need probably a MIG bottle. Maybe you want to get a TIG bottle. You would need a regulator for each. You would need consumables. You're going to need tungsten. You're going to need some wire. You're going to need spools for your spool gun. Or you can run aluminum in here with the graphite liner that comes in the box. You don't necessarily need the spool gun. This will be available in January. And if you go up into my description, you're going to see a link for Simder. You go use that link, you automatically, like literally by clicking the link and just going to Simder with my link, you get 20% off. That's a pretty big deal. 20% is a lot. So I would like to thank Simder for trusting me with their, quote, prototype. It's, you know, this is the production model. It's fun to run. It does a lot of things. And I think if you're a garage builder, I don't think you could do better than this machine. So get up in that description, click that link for Simder, see what they have to offer. They also do plasma cutters and other welders. I appreciate you spending time with us, and thanks for watching.